Welcome to this week's episode of Merricks Garage. I got the coilovers in. I got the hoops in. I got the steering almost done. It's back on its own tires. A lot to celebrate, a lot to share with you guys. I think you're gonna dig this video. It's probably gonna end up being the longest video I've ever done. There was just so much stuff to cover. We had a massive fire here. I welded up a bunch of stuff. Things came together, and I'm really fired up. I consistently post updates over on my Instagram account, so if you're not following me on Instagram, go ahead and give me a follow over there. You will get probably daily updates on what I'm doing on the build and progress that's being made in between the videos. So with that all said, sit back, sit tight, consider this my Merry Christmas to you guys. A really long, really action-packed Merricks Garage. I hope you dig it. One of the challenges of having a small workspace is making room for all the tools you need to do, all the things you can think up in your head. The list goes on and on of all the cool metalworking tools I would love to have. The reality is I just don't have that much space. I like to park my car in the garage. I need stuff that can move out of the way. But I have stuff that I want to get done, and that involves me purchasing the tools that can not only give me long life. I want something that's going to be durable and work hard and perform for many days to come, but I also want something that can do multiple jobs. So I looked into getting a notcher and all that kind of stuff, but from everything I've seen online, people are doing some amazing notching just using a chop saw. So I went out and picked up this new Evolution, what is it? This is the Evo Saw 380. It's not an abrasive saw, it's a cutting saw, so it's a cold cut saw. So no sparks, much longer life on the blade, and my objective here is to start building all of the support structures, the little T-plates and perpendicular plates that I'm going to use to reinforce the frame where the hangers meet, where the bump stops go, and things like that. So I'm just in the garage today. This smoke from this most recent fire is really, really bad. There's a bunch of evacuations in town, and yeah, just being outside, it looks like it's snowing. The sun is deep dark orange. It's like twilight all day long. It's very weird. So yeah, I've got some time to kill in the garage, so I'm gonna start chopping some metal. What I'm making right here is these just square tube that is going to, if this is my frame, it's going to stick out from the frame. I'm going to tack it onto the frame, and then it's going to go right off it. Now obviously it's going to be angled, but that's what I'm building these for, so I need 2 of these guys at 3 inches. That's a pretty nice cut. So here's the piece that's going to be used to support off the frame my shock hoop. So I just cut a couple gussets for that. I'm not sure if this is what I'm going to end up using or not, but I've also cut just a bunch of other regular triangles. And then this is going to, let's say this is the C channel of the frame, and I've got my strut on the, or I've got my bracket on the back side and underside of the frame. This guy's just gonna go in so it's perpendicular to the flat bar of the frame to stiffen up the box of the frame. Instead of boxing the entire frame, this way I can get more coverage. I've also started building my cross member. It's not lining up perfectly yet, but this is a rough idea of where it's gonna be.
Pretty sweet mask, huh? Yeah, I wanted to bring you guys out here so you could see just how bad it is and why I've been filming in the garage. The ash is something else. This is looking on my truck. You can see just, I mean, it's everywhere. Look at that. That's crazy. And coming out here, this is actually one of the clearer days we've had in a while. But looking up behind me here, oh geez, Yeah, it's not good. Let's go back inside.
This is one of the rod ends that I was using, one of the tie rod ends that I was using before. This particular ball is pretty much seized up. You can see the movement. Ugh. The movement is horrible. And I just really dislike these things. My main pet peeve comes from the fact that the post, when you try and unthread this after it has been on for a long time, you can often end up with this just spinning, which means you can't take it off. So I've decided to get rid of these guys, and I'm moving to rod ends for my steering, for my drag link, and for my tie rod. So this is my new Pitman arm that I'm going to be using. You'll see the difference in drop here compared to my 4-inch. So this is going to give me more clearance like I was looking for in to the panhard bar. So old, new. The bolts I'm using grade 8. I could have gone with this new metal bolt called an F911. The parts house didn't have them, and I'm not that worried about it. I can replace them if need be. The nice thing about this guy is obviously being able to run a bolt all the way through. I am gonna have to drill this out. This is, I need to drill it out to a 3/4, so I bought a big honking bit to drill this out. And I need to do the same thing on my knuckles. On my knuckles, I've got to get rid of the taper that matches up with the tie rod taper and just go straight to a shoulder here. But locking bolt, locking nut, should never have any worry about getting these off. Now, do not run out and buy cheap rod ends thinking that that is going to solve your problems. It's not. A good rod end that is designed to work in a steering system is not a cheap solution. They run about $30 to $50 a piece, depending on what kind you get. And it's important to recognize that you will not have a castle nut with this, so you will not be able to run a cotter pin. Check your local laws to make sure that that is okay for driving on the street if that's what you're going to do with it. I make no claims that that this is legal or safe or anything. I just prefer it to tie rod ends. So I got 4 of these, 1 for the tie rod, 1 for the drag link, and the knuckles obviously. The bolt shoulder is nice enough that I'm going to have a good clamping situation here. And I'm fired up on this. This is going to be a dramatic improvement over what I've got. In subsequent videos, we're going to talk a little bit about the death wobble. What causes it, why it's there, what you can do about it. The drill just kicked back and nailed me in the lip. Thought it knocked out a tooth at first, but it just looks like it split my lip. Not that bad, but gosh. Way to go, James. I'm gonna cheat my welder a little bit. It doesn't have the heat, but I think I can weld this up adequately.
guys digging that? Look at this. That's awesome. People keep looking at me today like I got a weird cold sore on my mouth, but explaining what happened, that a drill kicked and nailed me in the face, I don't know which one's worse, having a cold sore or being an idiot, but I got both on lock. Anyway, I got the tie rod in. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like and discuss some things that have come up and talk about what I want to do. If I can get a solution, the steering arm that comes out and then the tie rod is connected through a double shear system through a rod that goes through the knuckle and up to the steering arm, that is double shear, and that would be preferable. The challenge I have is if I'm trying to run double shear, I don't think I'm going to have enough room with the knuckle, and the heim from the panhard will start hitting. So that is the concern that I've got to address, although I think this is plenty bomber. Yeah, well, this fire just does not want to go out. It is making life rather difficult here in town with tons of evacuations, road closures, not to mention the real threat of fire. I am pretty far removed from it, but nevertheless, tons of ash. But I'll show you where it is because we can see flames. Yikes.
In addition to the Bilstein coilovers that are going on the build, I'm also going to be using these Bilstein bump stops. I have some bump stop cans I put together. These came from Poly Performance. You get the wings and this rear piece, just weld it all together. I actually had some decent welds right here that I'm proud of, and then I ground these ones down because they didn't look so good. Like I said, a grinder, not a welder. So the bump stop cans obviously go in here. I'm not going to mount the cans into the bumps into the cans yet. What I am going to do is prep the frame and get these guys tacked on. There's a really cool strike pad on the brackets that ORD provides. Should be easy, but nothing ever is. But it should be fun. Let's do it. Before I go ahead and tack the bump stop mount onto the frame, I want to make sure that I'm putting it in exactly the right spot. So I'm going to raise the axle back up to full bump and have these guys in place before I tack it in. And for that, I'm going to be using the Nocturnal Welding axle Cradle. I know you guys have seen this before. This is probably the third generation that we've made of this thing. And where I get fired up on it, and this is a side note, but just bear with me here, where I get fired up on it is having a tool that can serve multiple purposes, like I talked about with the circular chop saw the other day. Having a tool that can serve multiple purposes is what I've got to do in a garage the size I have. With these pieces right here, we can change the supports out for tons of different options. The easy one to come up with obviously was the axle cradle, but we can make this to a flat platform so you can do a transmission jack. We can make it so it's got padded inserts on top so you can lift like a frame from the side. We can also make it so that this becomes a flat work spot. So you can get some flat plate, put it on top, you got a quick welding table. Use the pinion support and mount a vise to it. Having a small, portable, rolling workstation that I can weld on, that I can lift with, that I can cut on, that I can use with my vise, and be able to disassemble it and slide it under one of my other workbenches when I need space is awesome. I'm gonna be doing a separate video on this, but this is the first foray into design. Elijah at Nocturnal Welding came up with the original prototype, and we're on, I think, generation 5 now, just constantly tweaking, refining, and testing it here. I mean, this thing has been putting in some hard work. So stay tuned, back to your regularly scheduled program, but this thing is awesome. Yeah, you can see the bump strike pad is lined up pretty nicely. As the axle moves through its travel, it's going to move that way, ever so slightly. So we're going to stay on the bump stop pad. This is about where I wanted it, as I wanted it to hit the
the aft portion and move forward during the compression stroke. And here's the other side about to get tacked on. It's not lining up as well as I would like. I need to bring the panhard over some more and get this lined up. But yeah, that's where it's gonna go. I've already chamfered down this edge to give me a good bead when I weld onto the frame. I just need to get this support bracket welded on, and we're gonna tack this guy up to the frame. I've cut this piece with my angle grinder, and it should be a nice fit. Okay, this is going to be one of the supports. It's time to get this guy tacked up as soon as it cools down. Starting to come together here with the cuts that I've got to make. This is obviously the angle cut that I've got to make right there, but I'm probably going to drop it down. Let's see if we can find that out. What looks to be, I'm only going to need about 3/4 of an inch. So 3/4 from the bottom of that guy should give me that angle. Now it's probably compound, so I'll have to adjust for that too. And then up front, that's the angle I'm seeing once again. And that's running there. We'll see what I have to do there. So right there is how I want it to sit. This is gonna cant me in about a 3-degree angle that way, and I'm hoping to get a few degrees the other way too. The shock hoop is on. Well, it's being cut to length, and I'm happy with how it's all starting to line up here. The real trick is going to be getting it to match on the other side. I'd prefer if these were straight down, but I'd rather keep a low center of gravity. And then I am going to put my engine cross brace across here, so this whole section is going to be reinforced. I've got a little bit of a kickback to the shock, which I wanted. And then I should have a little bit of a kickback this way, and I'm going to be able to cheat this, which is there, giving me what I needed. I got one shock hoop burned in. I got the other shock hoop mocked up. I've done all the trimming, the cutting, the angling. I think I'm pretty close, so come take a look. So you'll see in the angle of this one, I've got a slight rearward angle. See that right there? And then that looks pretty dead even. I've matched the angles, I've matched the heights. It's just a matter of committing now. Okay, let's melt some metal. Well, it's been a productive couple days. I know it looks like it's close, but there's still a fair amount of work to do with it. So all things considered, with the fire and the ash and the kids out of school and the end of business year craziness, my free time has been productive. I've been able to get quite a lot done, as I'm going to show you here. It's still got a lot to do, but the shock hoops are in, the springs are going back on. This thing is going to stand on its own 2 legs, or I guess 2 wheels, by the end of the day. There's still a lot of fine-tuning and finish work to do, but take a look. Holy guacamole. It hasn't caught fire yet. Cautious optimism, slowly growing. Holy cow! Holy cow! Well, I have been able to get a lot done. I still have quite a bit of work to do, but it has come together and I am fired up. This is not at ride height right now. I am going to be dropping it down. This was just to get me where I need to be so I can start kind of taking stock of where I am.